explain something about our class. Okay, today is a wrap-up session over Zoom. So you guys joining me right now. Thank you for those who can make. And then the final exam a week from today, this time, but it's not in-class test, but online. So please do not come to Manhattan campus or the Absbury campus for your final. No, you can come and you can take an exam, but I'm not talking about the classrooms, okay? So online classes. So you open up your Blackboard like this. If you go to course material, then it'll appear here, the first item of this. Then I'll put there the link, final exam. Then you can click and you can start from there. And also, I wanted to open up Zoom like this. I'm going to replace this for the next week. So you can join me by clicking the meeting link here. Okay, so you come to Blackboard and then click on the Zoom meetings and join. And then you can start, go to your course material where there is a link for your midterm exam. You don't need to wait once you are the Zoom, then you can start, okay? And also I want you to turn on the camera. Those who do not have a camera on your laptop, although it is unusual at this time, but if it is the case, then I want you to open your cell phone camera so you can join this from your cell phone, and you can join the Zoom from your cell phone and so that I can see you, okay? Because this is a proctor exam. And also I'm going to record everybody's face. The way that I can do, I can see it's called on Zoom, grid video, so that I can see you guys the grid, and it'll be saved. The exam will begin 11:20 a.m. But I am going to open this exam sessions for 2 hours. But actually, the exam itself is about a 1 hour test. So if somebody has some time conflict, you can join, for example, 12 o'clock. So you can use the rest of the time, not 2 hours in full in that case. And also this time, the open book, you can make yourself, you can come to your class notes, anything, any notes that you make, or any textbook, anything, any coding books, you can use it. Final exam will cover Python codings after the midterm, but I mean, coding is coding. So I'm not saying only strictly the portion that you could do after the midterm in Python questions itself. It could be a little bit comprehensive, which means, for example, list dictionary. tuples, for loops, condition. Those things needs to be asked, right? Not only the functions. So basically, I try to ask you to about the functions, how to define, how to invoke. And maybe one or two questions about object orientation, but simple object orientations, not real difficult ones. Networking, some of the short answer concepts. So you can, it's not long essay, okay? Don't copy and paste of some websites long list. You don't need to say that. Usually when I ask you, maybe one sentence, not even a paragraph. So keep in mind. The one that I am expecting is maybe a phrase, terminologies. It's not necessarily a complete sentence as far as the proper terminology is expressed in right way, then it'll be accepted. And also part of the homework about networking. Remember that I asked you to do setting up UDP server and client, TCP server and client. So coordinates already given to you, right? So you can refer to the codes when I ask you to do. I think that'll be covered. And types of questions very similar to the midterms. You guys already had experienced. But only difference is that you have to answer that on the computer, the Blackboard. There is a text box, then you need to type your answer on that text box. Yeah, usually I ask you to type. If there is any true or false type questions, then probably there is a radio buttons so that you can click either true or false, not both together. As you can see here, requirements, both the Blackboard and Zoom connections are required. I think this is it about the rest of your semester. Any question about this logistics? Okay. Any question about homeworks? Any technical questions? Anybody has some issues? This is my grade book. I want to ask a question. Let me bring up once more then object orientations, because that is the most important. Let's see, where is it? Because you guys here, I want you to learn something. Basically, object orientation, the concepts developed based upon our actual real world situation. in the real world, we have multiple instances available. If we are talking about camera lens, then lens are all exist, right? That exists, and we want to put some data about lens on our the Python code. So this exists. Then you have to think first to how you can bring each of different lens into our coding statements. If we have not only the lens, but also photographers, humans, lens, humans, maybe some of the accessories, and also the objects of your camera shootings. Then we have objects, maybe Hudson Rivers, Manhattan City views. Those are all the objects. Camera accessories, maybe you have a tripod or unipod, or macroscope of the lens that can attach to the regular lens. And there may be lightings if you have something, and also filter. There are multiple different filters available. So how can we, and also photographers, you can include yourself and some other professionals. So we have data about photographers. From my explanations right now, then we can see the types of those objects, right? Even if we mingle them all together in one basket, but we can see, oh, these kinds of the lens, these are the camera accessories, and these are the humans, these are the objects. We can make that way, right? And those types will become a class. So we can say lens, that is a class. Because we don't need to put each individual lens on our coding list first. The first thing that we need to do is to define the type first. Hey, we have a lens, class lens. Then these are all, these guys will belong to that class. So how can we belong each individual lens to the class lens? Okay, so we have to define class lens first. We have to define class lens, and then we can say, by the way, one object of class lens. From my explanation right now here, object and class, right? Class is like a template or blueprint. Object is a real object that can belong to that class. So, for example, Sony A-type mirrorless lens, whatever the type is, right? There is the focus length and type of f number, right? Aperture number. So those two numbers are very, very important in the current well-known camera lens. Previously, different numbers also considered, but right now, as lens technology advanced, these two numbers are important. The focus length and aperture number. And focus and aperture may be fixed, maybe the range. So in this case, from 1 to 105 and 4 to 8, or some fixed number as well. So we first define class, and then we need to instantiate, we call that instantiation. Or we can create an object, or we can construct an object, each object at a time. So this is the concept. In real codings, then we need to like this. Class length. And then underscore init underscore, followed by a list of parameters. If we are talking about, if we want to define length over two factors, like focus length and aperture, then we need to start with the self, comma, followed by actual parameters. Self is needed always when you define a function within class definition. This is a class length colon. So there's a block of a class. So there's an indentation. In the class definition, we may have a multiple 0 or more function definitions. And also we could have real attributes, real static numbers, static values. No, not here. But actually, as we initialize this, static value is automatically defined. So lens has focus, lens has aperture. Okay. Self.focus, self is object itself, my object. In the definition of a class, self is not yet defined. Self, the object ID, is defined when we say this first. So I can call lens, which is class name, open and close. This open and close, the cardinality, the arity of the parameters are defined in this self function. So in the self function, we have focus and aperture, so that we need to, as we define an object, we need to enter this focus, the first parameter. Actually, here, second parameter, because we have self here. And then 4 to 8, that is aperture. Once we define an object by calling this lens open the first value and second value close parenthesis, then object is created. At that time, we know what is self. Self is object ID. So self is nothing but ID of this objects. You can simply think of the pointer. By call self, it points to that particular object. As second object is created, then different ID, but that points to this specific object. So we call that object, that self is into a variable, len1, len2, and len3, because we want to use these variables throughout the codings. So this is object-oriented. The full code is like this. Class lens, then we have init. This function is used whenever we want to create an object. And other functions may be used explicitly when we invoke it. Okay, this init function is invoked when an object is created, like this: class name, open and close, and number of values for the number of parameters there. Then we have this object. So this is invoked automatically when we have this. Others, then we have to invoke it only. Others. It's not here. So that if we want to invoke others, for example, I want to self and owner. Let's say photographers, okay. Photographers, John. And then I can say, I want to let this object, lens1, to invoke by, BUI, by sending owner. Self is not used when we invoke, right? When we define anyway. So second ones, so that I can say here, photographer. Then this particular, by having this lowercase as we have here, lens1 dot by, and if we send the for the variable, which is John in this case, then for passed to this function, which is the owner. So self.owner is this owner, so John. And display, we can do the similar way that we do. This is whole points of object orientations. So how we can invoke this, that is invoked when object is created. How can we invoke this other function? Then we need to invoke it explicitly like this. But the invocation of this function can be done by an object. Lens1 is an object of class lens, therefore that object can invoke this. Other object cannot, because other object does not have these properties. This is a property of lens class, therefore the object which are created based upon this class. So objects can also have the properties of this. Therefore, those properties can be invoked by that specific objects. For display, we can make a separate display function, but similar to here, as I said, that is a magic function. If we have string, if we define, for example, def underscore str underscore open self and close, then if we say self only, then there is no parameter to pass, right? We simply invoke this str. And then if we say print, if we say print and then whatever we want to print, that'll be printed. In what way this is printed? we simply call here print lens on object itself. Then this is printed. In this case, we don't need to do this. I think we need to do return only. Return and text. Then that is printed. Okay. So this is one like this init function is kind of a magic function that is invoked when an object is created. This STL magic function is invoked when object itself needs to be printed. If we do not define this STL function in class, but print object itself, then it does not print whatever designated here, but it prints pointer itself. Remember that this is a object pointer, right? So pointer itself, which is not something about that object, right? That's a system generated pointer. Okay, I think this is something that we want to review. Any question about my extra lecture that may hit you to raise questions about object orientation? So object orientation is the final concepts that you continue to use if you want to do further developments career. I'm not going to ask you about any graphical user interface. I think the last time I was not able to record, right? I think I recorded, but the video was not recorded properly. Therefore, you guys may not have my recordings. Sorry for that, but anyway, this is at the time we looked at how one of the typical the usages of object orientation is as a graphical user interface, because all the graphical user interface that you use already defined as in object orientation, so that you guys need to bring it to invoke. In not only Python, most of the codings, if you need to do graphical user interface, then rather than define foundations of graphical components, you simply use it. Okay, almost all the gadgets and widgets of graphical components already defined and provided for you to invoke. So understanding of object orientation, and you can see how you can invoke. So basically, before you invoke, you have to create an object, and then you can invoke the properties that's available in that object. Okay, these are the properties available in objects which are defined based upon this class. So once you create an object based upon a class, then you can use all of this. That's basically object orientation. Knowingly, unknowingly, we did this already, right? Remember that when we use a format, then we attach dot format function to any string. How that string can invoke, there's a dot notation, right? Dot format. Format is a function that is already defined in string class. So when you say quote, whatever the string, unquote, then automatically Python understands, hey, this is an object of a string class. Therefore, dot format functions can be invoked. In object orientation, we don't call function, but we call methods, okay? So class and methods. So this is a class, and these are the method. So you can simply see the method is nothing but functions. But not all the functions can be called the method because not all the functions are associated with the class. Only the functions associated with the class, then we better to call it methods. Question. I think this is enough for you to answer the questions about object orientations. All others, functions as I defined here, functions also. So hopefully you can enjoy the final exam. The networkings, the codings, you don't need to do much beyond the coding list that's already given. But I want you to understand how they are built and communicating each other. All right, I think I need to stop. I'll see you next week at 11:20 so that you will complete this class.